Hi, we're here at stand 3 of the Mack Lake staff ride, and right behind me is engine 5.2. This is the 6x6 engine that was on the original Crane Lake and Mack Lake prescribed fire and wildfires. So the truck is still in service 41 years later. It was brand new in 1979. So just to give you a little taste of reality of what the 11 folks out here were using to handle the prescribed fire and then start chasing the Mack Lake wildfire. So stand 3 is where the Crane Lake fire really proved it wasn't a prescribed fire anymore and it became a wildfire. They had successfully stopped the first spot fire that jumped from the west side of Highway 33 to the east side. But then shortly thereafter, around 12:15, a second spot occurred on this side of the highway, the east side of the highway, right along this power line corridor here. So at that point, again, the 6x6 and the John Deere tractor immediately came just to the north along Highway 33 and started plowing a tractor line as well as following with a wet line to try to catch that second spot fire that was now west of the highway. And again, their strategy was, with the west wind, they just wanted to use the highway to hold that fire until more resources could arrive. The burn boss was ordering more resources, both suppression resources and sheriff's department, to help with the smoke along the highway. The dozer and the engine went around the spot fire, but as the dozer made its plow line behind that, the engine was following, the fire had already jumped. So the engine knocked that fire down, and they eventually did make it around the spot fire, but it didn't hold. That spot fire continued. Again, we had the cold front coming, so you went from winds that were relatively light in the morning. Now it's just afternoon, and you've got high winds pushed by an oncoming cold front. Humidity has dropped down into the low 20s at this point. The prescription for the prescribed fire was 25 to 50%. So you're out of prescription on winds, you're out of prescription on humidity. You haven't been able to hold the fire on the east side, and now it's fully established on the west side, on the east side of Highway 33. At the same time, the district ranger was the spotter for the tractor plow. And the ranger at that point knew that their efforts to catch this prescribed fire and keep it from escaping had failed. So he conferred with the burn boss and decided that he was going to go back to Mayo, which is just a few miles to the north of here, where there's an airport, and get in a spotter plane so they could really see what the fire was doing. So the tractor plow operator lost his spotter. Prior to this, throughout the day, the ranger had been with the tractor plow operator, who, remember, was not fully qualified. And so the ranger starts heading back down this power line corridor. And he runs into a reporter as he's going back to the highway. And so clearly people could tell there was a problem, had to talk to the reporter. And then, because no other vehicles were left, the district ranger actually hitchhiked and got a ride back to Mayo because there were no vehicles available. So now what you had was the 6x6 engine with 2 personnel on it, 1 driver and 1 operator behind the cab, where they were on the truck, spraying from the truck, and then the dozer. And the tactic they used was they held the fire along this power line road until right about here, and then they had to jump north of the power line road, where at first the tractor plow was putting in line and the engine was following close behind. They really couldn't go direct on the fire. It was too hot for that, even with the flanking fire. So they were putting slightly indirect plow line in, and the 6x6 was cooling down the flame front from a distance with a stream of water from the engine. As the dozer progressed down to the east, eventually the engine was moving faster. The dozer pulled off to the side. The engine went forward and got to the front, and the engine took the lead. There was no radio communication between the dozer operator and the engine crew. There was eye contact. The engine crew later said that they thought that the tractor plow operator was moving over so that they could pass and take the lead because they were moving faster. But there was never any radio communication between those two resources as they progressed east. Again, the fire's now established on this side of the highway, pushed by a strong west wind, and the Mack Lake subdivision is just a couple miles to the east of here.